These safeguards are here for a reason. It's not like they're there to just make his life hard. They're there for a reason, and he's directly trying to circumvent the process in which that we would apply tariffs to other countries. He's just circumventing that, saying we're in a state of emergency because the economy is bad, I guess. Imagine if like a liberal was just like, homelessness is a national emergency, and so I can just, without even doing any legislature, I can just like make it so we give every homeless person $100,000 and I don't have to go through, because it's a state of emergency. Like, obviously every Republican would be like kicking and screaming at the prospect of that. That's like the most frustrating part. He has a majority everywhere and he still is cheating. He's still doing state of emergency, executive order combos, like 1-2 punches. People thought Trump was dead because he like canceled his like press appearances, and and like just like no one had seen him in like 2 or 3 days. And obviously like recently people have been speculating that perhaps he was dying because of, he was just bruising like crazy, and he's obviously mentally deteriorated quite a bit. But yeah, and then I don't know, I guess I woke up this morning and my Twitter, all of the trending tab just says Trump dead, Trump died, no way, and it's all this stuff, and I'm just like, bro, I got so excited. I was like, holy is he actually dead? No, there's no shot. And he was. I don't think he's dead. Apparently they're saying that he's alive, but apparently this video is old. I don't even know, dude. I don't know, dude. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what to believe anymore. But apparently he's played golf today. Fat, lazy fuck. It's okay. It's okay. It'll happen eventually. I have my hopes up. Well, it has to happen eventually. There's no way. I actually, I posted a little... He won, dude. He won. Biden wins in the end. If Trump dies before Biden... I think I tweeted about this, too. The day Trump croaks before Biden will be cinema. It will. It'll be cinema when that happens, and it is going to happen. Jesus Christ, Biden is like a radiated cockroach floating through space with its head off. He's just never gonna die ever, and Trump's just gonna croak immediately. Can you imagine when for as long as Republicans were talking about like Joe Biden's not mentally well, he's not gonna even be able to survive his next term, and then Trump dies in the first year? Could you imagine, dude? That would be cinema. That would be amazing. And then Biden gets the final laugh. Biden goes to his funeral. That would be cinema, dude. That would be so fire. But it's okay. It's fine. You know, it's okay. It's no big deal, because we got other Trump L's. A court has ruled most of Trump's tariffs are illegal. Unbelievable.
We're getting some breaking news into us right now. A federal appeals court has ruled that most of the global tariffs that President Trump has put in place are illegal. We go right now to NBC's Brian Chung, who covers business for us. Brian, what more do we know about this ruling, how it will impact the president's timeline? And then, of course, I'm guessing this is already setting up for an appeal.
Yeah, Tom, we are just reading over these documents right now, so we're kind of going through it as
I'm just a guess. So for anyone who doesn't know, basically, Trump hates legislating. He hates bills. He hates, like, basically, you know, the entire process of our country and how we've made everything work so well, which was like a democratic, like, unified decision that we all make together, right? He doesn't give a fuck about any of that because he's an authoritarian piece of shit. And basically everything he's done is he's just like, I want to do this thing, but I don't want to go through all like the red tape. So I'm just going to say we're in a state of emergency right now, and then just shoot off a bunch of executive orders. That's what he did with the border. That's what he's kind of doing now with, I mean, not kind of, he's basically doing it with DC, and then like he's kind of threatening all these other major liberal cities with the National Guard through executive orders. And he did it with the tariffs too. He is, you know, he's taken the tariffs as like this kind of thing where it's like, this is it. This is why I'm going to do it. I'm completely justified in doing, you know, going through all of these legislators and every single, you know, these safeguards are here for a reason. It's not like they're there to just make his life hard. They're there for a reason. And he's directly trying to circumvent the process in which that we would apply tariffs to other countries. And he's just circumventing that, saying we're in a state of emergency because the economy is bad, I guess. And yeah, just like throwing tariffs all over the place. And I guess they're probably just saying like, hey, you know, you can't just say that we're in a national emergency for every single thing that you want to just strong arm your way through. Like, you're going to have to, like, you can't do this with the tariff. Sorry, buddy. That's my guess, right? Is it probably is just very clear, like explaining to Trump like he's a child. Like, you can't do this. You have to do it the normal way. You have to do it the grown-up way, right?
So I'm speaking to you right now, but it seems like the high-level takeaway here is that a court, this being the court of appeals for the Federal Circuit, has decided that the government's use of these what they call emergency authorities to try to tariff essentially every country around the world on a bilateral basis are not legal, and that would.
Oh, really? Oh, is it not legal? Is it not legal to just call everything a state of emergency and send off executive orders at anything you want? Is that not legal? No way. I thought all those safeguards were there just to make Trump's life hard. Wow, that's crazy, dude.
That they're going to strike them down, which would be really impactful for the 70 plus or so countries that the United States memorably over the past few months has been implementing these case by case tariff rates, 15% in some countries, 20%, 50%, as you'll recall with Brazil. Again, what the president has been using as the legal justification for doing these tariffs is called the Emergency Act. It's called the IEEPA. I don't need to go through the entire acronym right now, but this is what the court is saying.
Just everything is an emergency. He just justifies everything as an emergency because he just uses like the snowball effect and just takes it to like the worst possible conclusion where it's like, these illegals are coming over the border and they're going to kill everyone and they're going to take everyone's jobs and then the white race is going to be gone and everyone's going to die. So the fact that our border even lets in one illegal immigrant is a state of emergency. Like, it is actually just that stupid. You got my hopes up with the stream title. Join the club because that's how I felt opening Twitter this morning and seeing a bunch of people saying Trump is dead, and apparently he might not be. But yeah, thanks for stopping in, Hina. I appreciate it.
Is illegal. This would not cover, and I want to point out, this is an important distinction here, this would not cover separate types of tariffs on specific industries. We've heard the president talking about semiconductor, smartphone. They're currently in place steel and aluminum tariffs. Those are separate from this. Those are Section 232 tariffs, which would not be covered by this lawsuit. But nonetheless, this would be hugely impactful. If it is indeed the case that the United States government would lose an appeal, because certainly this will be appealed, that would imply that these tariffs would go away, which is a major pillar of the president's agenda over these first few.
Yeah, and great. So we have all of the fallout that comes from our foreign allies and even just like people that we're neutral with. Like just like every single person that we put a tariff on, or every country we put a tariff on, which is basically everyone except Russia for some reason. I wonder why that was. Now they all hate us, and they already hate Trump enough, but now they really hate us and think we're super. And it's definitely we've incurred all of the bad things that come with tariffing without any of the positives. Obviously I would side with the courts on this one, but I mean, it wasn't working anyway, so it's not like it matters. But yeah, it's just he's such an incompetent.
Few months in office in his second term. So again, we'll have to see what happens here. What is unclear to me at this moment, as we're still kind of going through these documents, is whether or not the court is going to strike down the implementation of these tariffs in the interim if there is an appeal, or can they continue to stay in place while the government continues to.
I would imagine, like, wouldn't there be some kind of preliminary injunction where it's like, this is the ruling we've made, so for now, if they have to stop, and if you appeal it, they can come back, right? There's no way. I mean, I don't know, maybe because it's like a huge foreign policy thing, or not policy. To be clear, it's not. It's hardly policy if you even want to call it that. But foreign policy type thing. I mean, and maybe they would just like let it stay for now. I don't know. But yeah.
To go about this lawsuit. So we'll have to see, Tom. A lot of questions outstanding this evening.
Yamish, what are you hearing from the White House in terms of reaction?
Well, it's a key question. Right now, the White House has not responded to my multiple requests for comment. This is, of course, fast developing. What we do know is that President Trump has made tariffs a key part of his policy and his strategy, economic strategy, political strategy. We also know that the president has really made this a sort of hallmark of the first few months of his administration. So it's going to be a big political blow if they are all the way up to the Supreme Court deemed illegal. But as you said, Tom, this is likely going to be appealed.
I wonder how the Supreme Court will rule. They'll probably just roll on their back and do whatever he says. I'm so black-pilled at this point. I'm just so black-pilled. We're so
to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court may decide something differently than this appeals court. It's also important to note that as I'm waiting for the White House to respond, there are some judges here that are from both sides of the political aisle, because President Trump at times has attacked judges, called them partisan. Just looking at the list, you have Bush appointees, you have Obama appointees, you have Clinton appointees. So it's really interesting when you look at sort of the makeup of who made this decision. We're still trying to figure out whether or not this kind of freezes the tariffs. From our understanding, right now the courts are saying that the tariffs can stay in place, it seems, and that this will just be adjudicated and continue to be sort of argued out. Argued over in the courts here.
Yeah, I guess that's probably the right decision, just because, like I said, it's like some foreign policy. It's like has a lot of economic ties, like putting them in, taking them out, putting them in. Once again, I mean, to be fair, Trump's kind of been doing that where he's like, oh, we'll give these extensions, we'll blah, 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 blah. You know, like it's basically already worthless anyway. But I mean, I would at least appreciate, you know, other federal actors and agents doing some kind of, trying to do some kind of damage control, even if the president is a petulant child throwing rocks at windows.
So I'm going to really be interested to see sort of what the president says. I won't read to you part of the decision right now unless we have a little bit more time. But what I can tell you is that the president is not going to be happy about this. But
what a indignant asshole. Trump was right about everything. You have like, it's so funny. It's like he's like just like lying to himself and lying to anyone who's still stupid enough to follow him. It's crazy, dude. It's just like so blatantly false. It's great. It's awesome, dude. It's actually, this is fire. Okay, I need a hat just like this. I think Gavin Newsom actually I think Gavin Newsom made a hat like that, didn't he? I wanted to get one, but I'm kind of broke right now. Gavin Newsom store. Wait, doesn't he have one? It's like Gavin was right about everything. Oh yeah, look at that. Newsom was right about everything. And he's got the he's got the Hulk Hogan, Kid Rock, and then who is this other guy? Oh, Tucker Carlson on this shirt, praying over him. That's so fire, dude. I love this too. Newsom 2026. He's so fire, dude. I love him.
But I'm sure, going to say that he can do this and that he'll go to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, listen, I've been trying to scan through it as you've been talking. It's at least 65 pages long, so it's not a quick read. But Brian, you've had a few more seconds to kind of peruse it, and I'm, you know, based on what is the appeals court? What's the bottom line for its decision to essentially invalidate the tariffs?
Yeah, and I want to point out that I think some people might be getting a little bit of deja vu on this, because we did talk about a separate court. This was the lower court just a few months ago. I believe it was in May that litigated this as well, where that court found that this was illegal, that the use of these so-called International Emergency Economic Powers Act, it did not enable the president in the way that he did to use these so-called reciprocal tariffs. We were just showing the image of the president in the Rose Garden with that sign of all those different tariff rates for each country. That is what was being used, this IEEPA Act, to justify those particular tariff rates. Again, a court in May.
It's just the ultimate cheat code. And by the way, there's like, this isn't like a thing that every president does. Presidents do executive orders, but they don't just like do these like state of emergency where it's just like the borders of an emergency, the economy's an emergency, crime is an emergency, just anything at all. Like he could be like imagine if like a liberal was just like homelessness is a national emergency, and so I can just put forth just without even doing any legislature, I could just like make it so we give every homeless person $100,000 and I don't have to go through, because it's a state of emergency. Like obviously every Republican would be like kicking and screaming at the prospect of that, but then when they're, you know, Daddy Trump does it over nothing at all, they absolutely love it. And I'm glad that he's not being emboldened to continue to do like this.
Said that was not legal, and it seems like this court is now upholding that. So again, this is just kind of part of the rung, as you can imagine, going all the way up to the Supreme Court. So might not be the final word here, but it is significant that now you have two courts that are saying it is illegal. I think again the question is there some sort of, and I'm not a lawyer, but is there some sort of injunction, I think would be the term to describe it, against the implementation of these tariffs in the interim. And I want to point out that the plaintiffs that filed this lawsuit, they are small businesses. I believe VOS, which is the name of the business on this particular ruling here, is a small importer. So again, the small businesses that have wagered this very significant legal challenge against the government.
Well, we are following the breaking news that a federal appeals court has ruled almost all of Donald Trump's tariffs are illegal. Trump imposed the vast majority of his tariffs under a law that allows the president to regulate international commerce during a national emergency. But the courts found that the law does not grant the president the authority to impose sweeping tariffs against nearly every country on the planet. No kidding.
Are we doing this for other too? Like, are we like trying to determine whether or not all the other that he put into place in regards to, I mean, I guess the city, like the National Guard in the cities is a bit more recent stuff, but with like the border and ICE and all this, it's crazy. Like, are we going to be clamping down on that too, or is it just the tariffs?
And you do not have to be an expert in international trade law. I am not, to see the logic of that decision. I mean, for one thing, the national emergency Trump says justified his tariffs keeps changing. I mean, one day he says it's about stopping fentanyl trafficking.
Oh, yeah. It's all stupid. And there's always like the two arguments of like, we're trying to bring jobs back to Americans. And it's like, okay, so these tariffs are permanent. And now we're just going to start making like just random like car parts and scraps of metal, like nuts and bolts and stuff. We're going to become the USSR and just start making a bunch of steel. Like, is that what we're doing? Like, we're just going to we're just going to become that basically? Or is the other thing where it's like, oh, we're using these tariffs temporarily to get these trade deficits dealt with or whatever. And it's just like there's no consistency even within the why are we implementing them. And now, yeah, I guess I didn't even think about that because I've heard this as well, and I got to start using that one as an example as well. This fentanyl, it's like the ultimate boogeyman. It's crazy.
And the next day he says it's about other countries ripping us off. And the next day he says it's because he doesn't like how other countries are treating his authoritarian buddies. The idea that they're...
Wait, what? Trump hits Brazilian products with 50% tariff over Bolsonaro. Wait, what? Products imported to the U.S. from Brazil, including almost a third of the supply relied on every day by America's coffee drinkers, are subject to a 50% tariff beginning Friday, not because of Brazil's trade policies, but because of President Donald Trump's relationship with the country's former strongman president, Jair Bolsonaro, and because of the actions of one of the justices of Brazil's Supreme Court. Trump typically justifies his tariffs by pointing to the U.S. trade deficit and saying that other nations are taking advantage of the United States. This is also, by the way, it's so retarded. The idea that we're being taken advantage of, like, these people on one hand will always be like, America's the best country in the world. It's the best country to live in. Fuck yeah, I love being in America. But then it's like, we're being taken advantage of. And it's like, bro, our lives are pretty good. I think I've said this before on stream, but like, even if you're like black, trans, gay, disabled, in a wheelchair, your life is still probably going to be better than like at least half the other countries on this planet. Like, it's like literally. And then imagine like the average person, like not rich, not poor, just a normal person. Their lives are objectively better than basically everyone else's on the planet. I mean, obviously barring like the extremely wealthy people. But yeah, no, it's just like, it's so ridiculous. The idea that we're being taken advantage of, and it's like, who cares? We're being taken advantage of. I don't care. I don't care. Our economy is great. Even when Donald Trump absolutely said, it's still pretty good. Like, I'm not like, our dollar is like the global currency that everyone bases their off of. Like, yeah, it's just so stupid. America isn't being taken advantage of. Intelligent people take advantage of Trump. Yeah, that's also the other thing. It's like so clear that Trump is just like, if you like grease him up just a little bit, he will just kind of do whatever you want. It's very, and Putin's doing it clearly, right? Because he's like, he went to Trump at the summit and was like, oh, those mail-in votes, you got to get rid of them. They're stealing the election from you. It's crazy. And Trump's like, yeah, they are. They're stealing. That's a good point. And then all of a sudden, like, he just loves Putin. And then he's like, yeah, Zelensky, you got to figure this shit out, man. It's your shit to figure out. He said, yeah, no, but you're totally right. U.S. actually has a trade surplus with Brazil of hundreds of billions of dollars over more than a decade, not a deficit. Yeah, like, it's just stupid. It's like, and he's doing like the reciprocal tariffs and stuff, but it's just like, it doesn't even matter. It's just nothing even matters at all. All the reciprocal stuff is just bullshit. The way that Brazil has treated former President Bolsonaro, a highly respected leader throughout the world during his term, including by the United States, is an international disgrace. This trial should not be taking place. It is a witch hunt that should end immediately. Wasn't Brazil the country that had their own January 6th? Is this the guy that was like, this guy was basically Trump for Brazil, right? They had their own January 6th. It was the 8th of January, right? Yeah, dude. It happened 2 years and 2 days later. I remember this. It's the same guy. He's literally, he's just like looking at him. He's like, that's literally me. Holy, literally, it's literally me, dude. Holy, oh my God. It's literally me, dude. Yes, my dipshit followers also also stormed their Capitol building, Mr. Trump. We should be friends. So cringe. Holy. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked. Hold on. Okay.
Because he doesn't like how other countries are treating his authoritarian buddies. The idea that there is some serious national emergency empowering the president to tariff the whole world has always been an obvious pretext for Trump to do whatever the heck he wants to do. And that's sort of been a theme with Trump lately, or for some time, I should say. I mean,
I just jizz, dude. Oh my God. Yes. He has always been an undemocratic. He is the most undemocratic piece of shit. That's why I was so black-pilled when he got elected again. I was so black-pilled. I was just like, democracy is dead. Because he doesn't give a about democracy, evidently. And that's how I felt before he began his second term. Now looking at his second term, it's more clear than ever that he just does not give a single. The idea that you are like foregoing the safeguards that are in place, that like basically you could draw back to our founding fathers of like the basic principles of how a country should be run, because the whole idea is that democracy is good, having checks and balances is a good thing, right? Like, and the idea that we have a guy, that we elected a guy who, forget trying to overthrow the government and steal the election, forget all that. The idea, or even the Russia hoax is not a hoax. In 2016, he knew that the DNC email leaks were going to happen. He and his buddy Roger Stone didn't do a thing. These people are cheaters. They've been cheaters before he even got into office. He was a cheater. He didn't give a about democracy the first time, right? So the idea now that he's coming in and he's saying, I don't need to pass bills. I don't need to go through my majority in the House and my majority in the Senate. I don't need that, even though I have both of them, even though I have a majority in the judicial branch. Like, yeah, I'm just gonna declare a state of emergency because I just want to get my own. It's disgusting, dude. And his approval rating is now lower than ever as a result. Thank God. Great job, buddy.
Today, the Trump administration was in court trying to defend Trump's decision to fire a member of the Federal Reserve Board, something he is also not allowed to do. Trump claims he could take that unprecedented step because of unproven allegations that the...
Wait, who did he fire? Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook is fighting in court after Trump terminated her. Oh, yeah.
Trump claims he could take that unprecedented step because of unproven allegations that the Federal Reserve Board member committed mortgage fraud.
What's up, little friend?
Too was an obvious pretext, as lawyers for that fired official argued in court today. Trump has also taken over Washington, D.C. on the grounds that despite the city's falling crime rate, D.C. is facing some sort of crime emergency. That, too, was an obvious pretext. So obvious, in fact, that the Trump administration has actually failed not one, not two, but 3 separate times to get grand juries made up of D.C. residents to indict the people they have arrested as part of their big old crime crackdown. I mean, every day this administration wakes up and just invents a reason for doing whatever they want. But the American judicial system may finally be waking up to that fact, and that is a good sign. Joining me now is Ian Bassin, co-founder and executive director of the group Protect Democracy, which tracks authoritarian threats. He wrote this incredible piece recently as well, which we will also tweet out. And Christy Greenberg, a former federal prosecutor and MSNBC legal analyst. Thank you both for being here. Ian, let me just start by asking you a big picture question here. Do you think that this ruling from the appeals court on tariffs today is a sign that the courts may finally be saying, actually, this guy can't just do whatever he wants? I mean, they've been saying that to some degree, but this feels like that. But what do you...
The founding father said that this guy couldn't do what he wants, but that doesn't stop him. But no.
Well, I wouldn't get our hopes up too much. What we've seen recently is that lower courts, the district courts and the appeals courts have really done their job in upholding the role of the judiciary to say what the law is. But the Supreme Court, at a rather unprecedented rate, has been siding with the administration over and over again in cases that seem wildly like should have gone the other way. I don't expect that giant trend to change course, but in this case, and I know you're looking for it, Jen, there is a little bit of hope, because I want to read you a line that was issued by a notable justice recently. And that line said this: "Rule by indefinite emergency edict risks leaving all of us with a shell of a democracy and civil liberties just as hollow." That was written just a few years ago by Justice Neil Gorsuch. So I think in this particular case, the opponents to Trump's global taxes are actually standing on not just solid ground, but solid ground that even this Supreme Court might stand on as well.
I mean, and of course, you have a quote from Neil Gorsuch in your pocket. It just doesn't surprise me at all. Let me ask you, Christy.
Don't leave home with that one.
Don't leave home with that one. We love nerds here. Okay, Christy, I mean, to Ian's point, I mean, the conservative majority in the Supreme Court has definitely let Trump get away with a whole lot of things.
That, once again, that's like the most frustrating part. He has a majority everywhere, and he still is cheating. He's still doing state of emergency, executive order combos, like 1-2 punches. Like, can't even just be patient. Like, he's such a narcissist that he needs to like circumvent all these processes. That's the worst part. He doesn't even have to do it. He's just such a narcissist that he needs everything right now. He needs immediate action, right? Like, so he can look like he's, yeah, it's just so stupid.
But all of these justices come out of a conservative legal tradition that has not exactly made defending sweeping tariffs its mission. So I know we can't predict, but like, what do you think? I mean, is there a chance they could rule against him on this?
I mean, there's always a chance, but
nope, they're not gonna do anything, dude. I'm so black-pilled. I'm just so black-pilled. There's nothing is gonna happen.
I mean, normally you would look at a conservative majority and they are very focused on what does the text of the statute say. And we're not going to try to do too much to, have new interpretations. The text says what it says. And here the statute that Trump is relying on, the International Economic Emergency Powers Act, it gives the president authority to take certain actions if he declares a national emergency, but tariffs aren't one of them. There are a number of different things that the act says that a president can do. Tariffs aren't listed there. And so if you were just looking at the text, it seems really unlikely that Congress intended in enacting this to depart from these past practices and grant this president unlimited authority to impose tariffs, that there's just no support in that from the history and from the text. So if the conservative majority does.
Are you old enough to vote? I'm so flattered that you would even ask that question, because that means that I look young enough to not be able to vote. I can vote. Yeah, I'm 27, so I absolutely am capable of voting.
Does what it says and looks at the text, looks at the history, they should rule against Trump. But we have seen that they tend to find ways, because they have a very expansive view of the president's power generally, to find ways to rule in his favor. So I can't say I'm optimistic.
They do also like mealy middle ground.
This is why Trump dying. I'm not saying I want anyone to kill him. I would never say that at all. But Trump getting sick and dying is the optimal route. Okay, that's the optimal route. Okay, because the second JD Vance becomes president, they lose all their momentum. It just becomes a show from there. Okay, they won't know what to do. All right. I pray to God that the tariffs get dropped so the Toyota Corolla price doesn't go up. Jesus. Not JD. JD is always going to be a better option. It is simply of the virtue that he's not a cult of personality. Say whatever you want about Trump, but he is a cult of personality and has managed to manipulate a lot of people into supporting him. And I think JD is not going to be able to do it. He does have a certain MAGA flavor to him, but like, I've become very confident that MAGA is just like it's going to come and it's going to go, right? Like, it's not going to stick around. It's definitely going to, go away, which is nice. I'm glad that that's the case. And specifically with JD Vance, I just know that there would not be really any problem. I love Trump. I just wish he wasn't owned by Israel. Me too, buddy. I would say that the moment Trump kicks the bucket, they're going to have to rewrite the Republican playbook. Well, yeah, that's the thing, is that they're probably just they're just going to have to go back to, like, I don't even know what they're going to do. I actually don't know what the future is. It could get way fucking worse, for all I know. It could get a lot worse, which would be crazy. Trump's ankles and his hand bruising are a bad sign for an old person. Well, yeah, also, he's just, like, mentally deteriorating, very obviously. Like, he's just very clearly not there anymore. But, yeah, the swollen ankles and, like, you know, the thing is with the hand bruise, that's probably from getting a needle in his hand. And if you get a needle in your hand, like on the palm of your hand, that usually is because you're like in the hospital, or you've utilized this arm and this arm have been stabbed and poked too much, where it's more optimal to go here in the hand. Bruising could hypothetically happen. Like I went to the hospital a couple weeks ago for a checkup, and when they did like a little thing, I had like a little orange bruise, but I did not have like a full purple bruise. Like that's like a big ass bruise, and that could mean that he's like immune compromised or something. Like he's like extremely sick, right? We're going down either way. Yeah, I mean, maybe, I don't know. He's old as overworked, of course he's bruised. Not like that. I mean, I'd understand some bruises somewhere, but you have to consider the context of that specific bruise. Like I said, if you have a bruise right there, it's probably from getting a needle in there, and you're probably like immune compromised or something's going on, right? Like I would say that that's probably a pretty bad sign. That bruise in particular, it's not, because also it's just like, even when you're old, you have to like hit yourself pretty hard to get bruised. And how do you bruise your hand like that other than like the needle and stuff? Yeah, so I don't know. I think he's, I mean, little friend, if you think Melania likes it rough, true. I mean, little friend, if you think the 78-year-old man is not on death's door, then I'm sure he'll live for another 20, 30 years, right? He's 78, right? Oh, he's 79. He had his birthday in June. I forgot.
Grounds, yeah. I'll call them. That's not a legal term, but there's a little middle grounding that sometimes happens. Well, let me ask you about something else. There's a whole lot of power grabbing happening these days. So, Ian, let me ask you about another one of these, because the issue of pretext came up a lot today in the hearing for Federal Reserve Board Governor Lisa Cook, and the judge seemed reluctant to weigh in on whether the mortgage fraud allegations are or are not a pretext for her firing, but suggested that it might be relevant in determining Trump's motivation. How do courts look? There's like not exactly a precedent for this sort of stuff, but how do courts look at that kind of thing? How does the law look at this kind of stuff?
Yeah, the courts don't have the best technical ways to get at the motivation of individual government thinkers, and there's a lot of debate about to what extent they should do that. But there's also another simple legal concept called common sense, right? You know, judges and justices, they're human beings too. Sometimes it doesn't appear that they are, but actually I know on good authority that they are. And if you just have simple common sense and you look at what's going on right now, big picture, right? Donald Trump is using the full force of the federal government to do exactly what he said he was going to do, enact revenge on people he perceives as his opponents, right? So he's alleging more.
Here's the thing, though, is I actually think a lot of people do know that what Trump is doing is and illegal and unconstitutional and is just generally like un-American, right? I think most people know, but they don't care. Like they just don't give a shit. Like, and they think it's good, actually. They think it's good. Like they're okay with him breaking the rules because ultimately like what the end goal is desirable for them. So I don't even think they care. I don't think saying to them, like, oh, Donald Trump is literally like an unconstitutional, un-American piece of shit that has tried to circumvent the legislative process and crocked up state of emergency orders to justify him like putting tariffs and all this different shit up. And they would be like, yeah, and it was good that he did that. Like they wouldn't, I don't even think they would disagree. They would probably be like, yeah, and it was good, right? Like they just don't care.
Mortgage fraud against Adam Schiff, against Tish James, now against the one swing vote on the Federal Reserve to give him the power to control it, which he's already been talking about doing even before these allegations got floated. How many elected Republicans out there is the Federal Housing Finance Authority investigating for mortgage fraud? Doesn't look like too many, right? So it's just a little bit of common sense here about what's going on, and that doesn't require a law degree to figure out.
I love that common sense could actually be a driver here. That gives me like some hope in my soul.
Yeah, you don't have any hope. There's a common sense has been gone for a while. We're not operating with common sense anymore. We're operating with pure cognitive dissonance and just closing your eyes, pinning your ears, and going la 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 la, and then usually you just make it to the next insurrection. Is how I see it at this point.
Well, the other thing gives me a little hope, Christy. I know we're jumping around here, but there's a lot of legal news today, so I'm just so happy to have you both here. I want to get your reaction to the news that D.C. U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro has failed 3 times to secure an indictment from a grand jury against D.C. protesters. I mean, as I understand it, but you can explain it better to all of us, getting an indictment is supposed to be not easy, but maybe easier than it seems right now for them, at least much easier than getting a verdict. What does that say about her and about, I don't know if it's the mood of D.C. residents or if it's the weakness of their case? I mean, how do you read it?
Yeah, look, in certain cases, it sounds like that there was overcharging. No one is saying that DOJ should condone anyone throwing at anything at a federal agent or spitting at a federal agent. But where the contact is relatively minor, nobody gets hurt, there are no injuries. Generally, you're firmly in misdemeanor territory. And the fact that they keep escalating everything and making it a felony, that...
Like, I love how, and it's like, God, it's so disgusting. It's like actually just so disgusting. Like, wasn't it the sandwich guy or whatever, right? The guy who threw the sandwich thrower. I'm pretty sure he's just like, he also the alleged DC sandwich thrower charged with a misdemeanor after grand jury rejects felony indictment. Like they made this guy like a political pariah. They literally, there was that video. He called there was like a warrant for his arrest, and he basically like turned himself in, and they're like, go home. And so he went home, and then they sent like 30 different guys from like the FBI or something to go arrest him. It was crazy. There were like SWAT gear and arrest video. Hold on, I gotta find this. It's so funny. Oh well, here's this. Look at this. Look at all the FBI. Look at this. 1, 2, 3. There's a bunch of cops back here. There's a police officer right here for sandwich. There's another person behind him right here. Like, this is so cringe, dude. These people are disgusting. Like, they're actually trying to make like every single person who's slightly politically opposed that they arrest, they're trying to turn them into like a political prisoner, basically. It's disgusting.
Is notable, and clearly the grand jurors have said, no, you've gone too far. And every day you see Jeanine Pirro making these videos from her office highlighting the work of the public safety surge. And I watch these videos. I'm like, where are the murder cases? Where are the gang cases? Where are the cases? I mean, she's devoting a video to a Subway sandwich thrower, and it's kind of if you're spending your time as the U.S. attorney taking selfies at barbecues and pizza lunches and making videos, like, you're not exactly painting a picture of a national crime emergency here. And I think that, we've heard Donald Trump say the people of D.C. want the National Guard. They want the people there. And I think these grand jurors are sending a very different message, saying, look, we're looking at this conduct and we're actually not going to necessarily hold people accountable because we think you're going too far. We heard from a whistleblower that Emil Bovee told prosecutors they should consider telling the courts F you. This is kind of the grand jurors, the people of D.C. telling DOJ F you. I'd also note that this office is down 90 prosecutors. A third of their career staff have left. Investigators have left. Paralegals have left. So again, the prosecutors are also kind of saying F you to this DOJ. Maybe less time taking selfies, more time hiring prosecutors and investigators who know how to properly charge a case.
Yeah, this is another thing. It's all like vanity. It's all just like this stupid shit that doesn't matter. Like, for example, the wall is like the most emblematic thing of this in Trump's presidency. Actually, just the executive orders themselves are emblematic of this. The wall, because the wall is just like this worthless thing that they had to paint black 7 years later because apparently the Mexicans could still climb up it, and apparently burning their hands would fix the problem. But like, even the executive orders themselves, because think about it, these don't fix anything. The job of the president shouldn't be to make things good now. He's not making them good now, but that's what he's making them good now, right? But what happens in 2028 when inevitably a Democratic president is elected, Gavin Newsom maybe, and they say, okay, we're going to get rid of all these executive orders, like the executive order at the border that doesn't allow the asylum process, and then out of nowhere, all of a sudden, border crossings are up. Oh my God, this president is pro border crossing, pro illegal immigrant. They're anti-border, right? Like they're gonna start doing that because guess what? Donald Trump doesn't give a fuck about the border. He doesn't give a fuck about the American safety. He's doing some temporary thing to just make it look like the border problem is solved because I'm here and I fixed it, but he didn't fix it. And then when the Democratic leader undoes his pretend fix job of the issue, they're going to get blamed. And if anything, they're going to be postured. Like I said, they're anti-border. They're pro-illegal alien. Just for getting rid of like an executive order. I'm looking into the future. This is what's going to happen, by the way. This isn't like a guess or a prediction. This is literally what is going to happen when a Democratic leader comes back into office. Because they're going to try to get actual legislation done, which takes time. And yes, you do have to go through the House and Senate to do that. Yeah, it's just like, it's so cringe because it's all just for show. It's all vanity. It's all just theater. It's all of it is no.
That's very good advice, but pragmatic advice, I'm going to call it. Ian, let me ask you, I wanted to spend more time talking about this, but there's so much news today. You wrote this great piece, the hard-won hope of the long defeat. And there's a lot in here, but there's a line I just wanted to read because it just stuck with me because it's how I'm feeling. But it's not just the individual threats that weigh on us. It's the sheer volume. The autocrat's playbook isn't just about single acts of repression. It's about creating a dozen crises at once. This is not incompetence, it's a strategy. There's a lot you talk about in this piece about learning from history, but this hit me because I feel like there's just a sheer exhaustion right now and a sheer feeling like whack-a-mole of all.
The exhaustion, we're winning. That's the problem. We're going to get tired of winning. Remember, that's what Donald Trump said. We're going to get tired of winning. The exhaustion is just us winning too much. We're tired of winning, okay? We've been winning too much at the border. We're winning too much in D.C. and in Chicago's coming up. We're winning, guys. We're winning in the economy. The global stage loves us. Ukraine is winning. We're all winning, dude. We're just tired of winning. That's what's going on.
All of the things that are happening. What can we learn from history to help us deal with this moment, or even just know what's coming to know what we have to deal with?
Well, I wrote this piece because I think we've had a lot of dark weeks in sort of this rise of autocracy under Donald Trump. And I think this has been one of the darkest, where it has just seemed like the strategy that he has deployed of flood the zone, of emergencies made up and crises all at once in order to seize and consolidate power reached kind of an apex this week. And it felt quite bleak on a lot of fronts. And I think I went back to history, to all of the prior pro-democracy and pro-freedom movements, whether it was the Solidarity movement in Poland or the African National Congress in South Africa or the Civil Rights movement here in the United States, the marriage equality movement here in the United States. And they all had dark midnights. They all had.
Yes. Oh, my God. The thing that you learn about every free society, every capitalist society too, capitalist, democracy, like these are logical conclusions. Democracy and capitalism are logical conclusions that are brought upon people from all different times of history which is born out of our lives sucks. The feudal system sucks. Socialism sucks. Just like everything, monarchies suck. Everything sucks. Slavery sucks. Like all this different, right? Like, even just it's the same reason that we don't do like we're not nomads anymore. We figured out it was better to just stay in one place and like grow from there, right? Like democracy is not like just this idea that Donald Trump can improve upon. It is like the tried and true, objectively best government system to have. It's not like a thing. It's not like a thing that Donald Trump can perfect. It's not like it is there for a very good reason. Okay. It's there for a very, very good reason. And it's just so annoying. Like the idea that America, say whatever you want about the early origins of America and how we got here and what we did to get this land. But regardless, Americans came here because it sucked in England. England sucks. They didn't want to live there anymore because it was. They're like, we don't like this religious. We don't want to be here. You guys, and they left, and they created a society based around all of the things that made living there unsavory. And that's, guess what happened? We created the greatest country on the planet. Thank you very much. So it's just so stupid that Donald Trump would posture himself as an American in any sense when he is literally contradicting the, not even the foundation, but the fabric of our country. It's just like, yeah, it's so annoying.
I had moments when things seemed bleak. And it was in those moments that the leaders said, we still have to do the right thing now. We have to hold on to truth. We have to hold on to justice.
Most of the land was legally sold. Yes, I went on that entire rant to talk about how American colonization bad. American colonization lay bad, guys. That was the point I was making.
It's a moral imperative. And if we do that now, it plants the seeds for the victories of the future. And sometimes those victories take a long time to come, but in other times the winds shift immediately and the victories come quickly. And our job is to hoist the sails now. And I think it gives us something to hold on to. We are not the first who have faced dark moments like this. We will not be the last. And the world will keep on turning. The dawn will come. And it's our job to just stay in the fight.
Yep. Keep hoping, guys.